The clouds started taking over and everything was gray and kind of darker, and there were a lot of like snake, like the road became like snake-like, so like you couldn't really see far ahead, and at every turn I was hoping to see something, and you wouldn't see anything until the last like 0.2 mile. Around the age of 2, in 1995, 96, my wonderful mother came to the orphanage and she adopted us. She adopted all 3 of us. And for us, history changed there. We were adopted by a Spanish lady who had all the love in the world to give us and everything else to provide for us. And we had the best upbringing that we could have asked for.
Era de la dimensión real.
Sí. Qué cabrón, tío. Calla, no hables en vano. No hables de Dios en vano, chaval. El Dios. Pueden tener los mismos balones de oro, pero futbolísticamente no hay comparación posible.
Hay una verdad absoluta.
Sí, i és que Messi és el millor jugador de futbol de la història.
No, en sèrio, a mi no, ja me'n faig camar i tot.
Gràcies.
Tenc algo, i és molt dur. És molt
Pensa fava.
Salvatore, good job, boy.
I que guanya per la
Però és el rei.
Hombre, en capa i
Prova
corona.
de coronio.
Volem proves. Bueno, aquí no hi ha res.
Joder, aquí ja té el rei, tio.
Viene de 10 grana.
Sí, tio, és que...
Reina.
Quando si casa favo.
Fava, no hi ha cap fava, ja he agrufat, no hi ha res.
Hi ha una fava a tota puesta.
Sí, bé, però aquí no.
Ha de ser molt petita perquè...
Aquí segur que no hi és.
Petita.
Perquè aquí hi ha el rei.
I was born in Spain, born and raised. Currently living in the USA for 6 years. And I signed up for a marathon. It's in the Western Sahara. It happens every year. And ever since I discovered that it existed, I wanted to go. But at first I didn't know that I wanted to until one day you just feel like the right thing to do. I guess the only things that I've written down, and I've worked on this list all week, and there's only like running gear really, like my compression socks, my running belt, my running glasses, my running watch. It's not even heavy. Pretty much everything that I learned about Western Sahara was negative and not so much it didn't show a lot of hope, but this was something that seemed to make people very happy there. And the more I learned about it and read about it, I realized that people really look forward to that event. Running belt. Keep my water here. You said I probably need a bigger one to run in the desert, but hopefully that'll be enough. 3 sips. I've never run a marathon before, but I was a basketball player for 15 years.
Inma led the blue and gold with 18 points and added 5 assists.
Senior Inma was an unstoppable force in all facets of the game, scoring 20 points, grabbing a career-high 21 rebounds, and dishing out 6 assists.
But running for hours in the desert, nobody really does that. Unless, you have to. And I just feel like I have to.
We're planning to do, but take a bus to the refugee camp where we're going to be staying for the entire week. I feel like I should feel a lot more tired than I feel, but I also think that as soon as I lay down, I'll probably sleep for 15 hours straight, which is great because then I'll wake up and it'll be marathon time, and I'll be all rested and ready to go.
You'll see when you get to the camps, all of the kids have really serious
¿Cómo se dice?
Token. Token es. Está aquí.
Sí.
Está tocando.
Pero quiero que me expliques tú.
How token of Spanish. Es muy difícil en español.
We stayed with Sahrawi family in the refugee camp of Smada. It was warm, it was welcoming, and it was so natural.
Soy yo.
Qué guapa.
Es mi hermana, verás. Mi hermano. برنسل الحمد قاعد عم تحن ما عندي مشكلة
I never was very curious about anything regarding my adoption. But then my sister showed me a document. Basically learned my mother's name. And so I started asking questions to my siblings. I started doing research about Laayoune, which is the city that my mom was born in, and I had never heard of it. She was fleeing a country that she had called home just so that they could escape the ruling of foreign countries. So I just pictured a lot of fear. And moving forward anyway, because you have no choice.
What is your hope for the marathon?
I don't know, just be present in every step and just honestly just enjoy it. I don't want it to be easy or short. I want it to be whatever it needs to be. I don't know. I'm leaving. I'm ready.
I've heard a lot of stories about refugees. To realize that your own mother was part of that story and that consequently you're part of that story does make you ponder things. I've been on the lucky side of a coin toss, and I hope to gain an understanding of what it means to have had this privilege and what it would have meant not to.
Comment c'est?
Naima, Mohamed, Hamad.
Naïma, Ahmed.
No, Hamad.
Ahmed,
No.
Naïma.
Mohamed, Hamad. ¿Me crees ahora?
Sí. Mira que yo cuando pregunto esta cosa para ti, yo no me gusta preguntar mucho cosas de tu padre, dónde está, tu madre, una cosa.
Conoces a mucha gente aquí, yo no.
Sí.
Tú puedes preguntar, yo no. Muy poca gente. Solo te puedo preguntar a ti que te conozco.
Sí. Y tu madre ahora vive aquí, no está viva aquí en Mujer.
No está viva.
¿Está muerta?
¡Vale! I wasn't sure about this part of the trip, but now I'm pretty convinced that while I'm here, I want to try and find some family. There are maybe 2 or 3 people that I feel comfortable speaking with about these things. Abdelrahim, for example, he does know people that work in like some database place, and I told him to do whatever he can. Like, this is my mom's name, and this is when he was born in this city, and let's see what you can find out. My mother's story and the story of all Sahrawis began long before she had to flee the country in 1975. Since the 4th century, indigenous Berber tribes moved freely about the Sahara Desert. In 1886, during the scramble for Africa, Spain got the land now known as the Western Sahara. Decades later, and when colonialism weakened, Spain abandoned efforts to properly colonize the country and signed a secret deal that gave Morocco and Mauritania permission to take over. So in 1975, over 350,000 Moroccan civilians marched into the Western Sahara and claimed the country as their own.
Terre est notre pays. Nous traversons non pas Laayoune seulement, mais toutes les villes et tous les villages occupés par les Espagnols.
The Sahrawi army, called the Polisario Front, fought against the new settlers. They successfully removed Mauritania, but continued to fight the Moroccans until 1991. A ceasefire was established then by the United Nations with the promise of a referendum. Today, Sahrawis who live in the occupied territories are separated by a wall and live under constant violence and discrimination. They are beaten and tortured if they speak up for their rights. Over 160,000 Sahrawis live in the refugee camps in Algeria. The marathon goes through 3 of these refugee camps.
Do you have any familiars? Yes.
No lo sabemos. A lo mejor sí, estoy intentando.
Pero tú sabes su nombre, tu madre. Pues podemos ayudar. Porque, sabes, hay un ministerio encargado de la situación del territorio ocupado. Pero al mismo tiempo es el ministerio que es encargado de los asuntos de diáspora. Los saharauis al diáspora, al fuera. ¿Entiendes? Entonces con ellos podemos coordinar.
Yo tengo mi hija, se parece mucho a ti, se llama Gaia. Gaia es una cosa. Por ejemplo, yo necesito... Gaia, sí, objetivo. Es un objetivo. Entonces, tu objetivo de encontrar tu familia. Entonces, igual a tu nombre.
Muy bien.
Vale. No, la verdad.
Muchas gracias.
Muy bien. De nada, pase, ya. Vale. Hasta luego.
Todo el placer del mundo y toda la admiración y todo el ánimo por tenerte aquí. Nosotros hoy nos sentimos más numerosos. Sí.
Creo en el poder del deporte, de formar a gente. Mucho de lo que he aprendido lo he aprendido a través del baloncesto. Y me parece muy bonito y muy inteligente, la verdad, los esfuerzos de tanta gente del pueblo saharaui a fomentar el deporte de la gente joven, para que se sientan que están creciendo como niños de todo el mundo.
y que aprendan del sacrificio que se aprende a través del deporte, el compañerismo.
No debemos ya faltar ni romper contactos. El contacto debe ser fluido, continuo, permanente. Y así pues recibe las órdenes.
We're looking for ambassadors.
Ella es el mejor embajador, absolutamente.
With the flag, a certificate.
The reality of things is that I love where, I grew up, but it's very uniform in terms of religion and ethnicity, and everybody that's not Spanish is an immigrant and very othered and not desirable. At the end of the day, me and my siblings look different from everybody else, and I thought it was so unfair that I was adopted and that kids would mock me for being darker. I think in neglecting or not honoring the brownness in me or my origins as Sahrawi, I am in a way kind of being very disgraceful to my mom because that's who she is. She's fully Sahrawi. Aisha said something. I asked her, what do you think about people calling me Sahrawi? As a Sahrawi, does that sit well with you? And she said, for her personally, it's okay, but there are some people that are not. Basically, she said that I should be careful because some people are I guess, getting on social media and saying that no Sahrawi woman would ever look like that. And she said that a lot of people don't approve of my mom having been with a Spanish man. I never claimed to be Sahrawi. But it is part of who I am, and it hurts hearing that. Can you forget the camera's here and say something?
Yeah, sorry.
Nothing has ever felt like home before, but these couple of days was the closest thing that I ever felt. If I belong as anything, I belong as a man in this country. That's just the truth of it. I created some sort of stupid mayhem where people are talking about my mom's decisions. My dead mom. I want this trip to be over. I don't want it to get any worse than this. my mom had us, me and my siblings. And I think that made everything more difficult for her in terms of having to earn a living and having to deal with life in Spain. So everything became very complicated, and all the more after she was diagnosed with cancer. So she couldn't take care of us. And 2 years after she had me, when my brother was 9 and my sister was 7, we were taken by social services because my siblings were not reporting to school, and it was evident that we needed help.
Madre mía, por favor. Buen día.
Rahim said something this morning. He said, yeah, I'm not, I haven't been born here. I don't know what they've gone through, at all. I could stay here not just a week, but a month, a year. I still wouldn't know. But I have other things to bring to the table, and our goal is the same, right? Our goal is to fight for freedom and justice.
¿Necesitas agua? ¿Necesitas agua? Agua.
He was the greatest. Honestly. I lost track of time.
Para entregar premios al secretario general de Juventud Sahrawi, el señor
Rahim came and talked to me, and he said, wow, it's the first year that 2 Sahrawis win. I was do I call myself Sahrawi? But when I had to come on stage, I had the urge to find a flag. I just felt like it was such a magical thing to have 2 Sahrawi flags with the 2 winners. And I asked around, and very quickly I found one. And then when I had it in my hand, I kind of had doubts, who am I to call myself Sahrawi? I've been here for 3 days.
¿Está bien así? Sí. Así más. No, está al revés ahora. ¿Seguro? Sí. Por la derecha. ¿Sabes qué voy a hacer?
And then I met this lovely kid. I just kind of felt like I was in a very safe space to discuss my identity issues. So I just said, look, I really want to bring this up on stage. Do you think, would you like to see that? Do you think that's a good idea? And his answer was literally, of course you should. And so I did.
Inma, la campeona saharaui español en el Sahara Maratón, esta edición, 42 años della Repubblica Arabi Sahrawi Democratica. شكرا جزيلا. شكرا جزيلا. يبقى معنا السيد الوزير الأول. Gracias, thank you very much. Sahara! 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 لا بديل لا بديل. معتقل يا رفيق. معتقل يا رفيق. يا شهيد ارتاح ارتاح. يا شهيد ارتاح ارتاح. Gracias. شكرا جزيلا.
Even though I keep saying that I didn't look for anything when I came, I think I thought that I would meet a part of myself that I hadn't met before, that I could meet anywhere else but here. And that has in a way been true. But that part of myself has been so much different perhaps than I had expected. And I've been very vulnerable. Cógelo, cógelo. Gracias, Menina. People here have shown me a part of humanity that I hadn't seen before. And that has nothing to do with me. I think the best parts of this trip have been about how wonderful humanity can be, in spite of the circumstance, in spite of it all. What a wonderful realization to come looking for something that you thought was about you and finding out that it's not. Get the whole crew here.
Had my mother not found refuge in Spain, she would have lived in the desert in Tindouf, or else as a second-class citizen under a police state. Neither would she, as a Sahrawi, have been given one of the most fundamental of human rights, which is to be asked simply, what do you want? Where do you want to live? What future do you want for your children? I'm not demanding that we give Sahrawis a voice. Sahrawis have and have always had their own clear and loud voices. It is up to us now whether we're going to give ourselves the gift of listening. I, Inma, as a daughter of the Western Sahara, demand that the efforts of the Security Council and the European Union and the African Union come together, and that the Sahrawi voices that will shape the future of Africa, the future of this, our shared planet, be listened to, finally, in the form of a just, democratic, and well-monitored referendum.